Hello guys and gals, welcome back to another episode of Shitty Pastas. Yes, it's that time of the month where we take a look at two shit pastas. See which one's better, creepypastas that are trying to be good, but they have the concept there, but they're just not good. We're gonna see them and we're gonna read them out, have a fun time, and see what we can do to make them better at the end. See why they fail, pretty much. And today I've actually gotten two creepypastas for you. I have a man without a gamer tag. Oh ho ho ho, mysterious, ain't it? Then I have a Sonic fan character shitpasta called crystal.HTML. I know you guys and gals just riveting in your seats right now. So without saying anything else, let's go into our first one, crystal.HTML. Oh yeah. Some people tend to ask me how I got these scars on my forearm. Well, it all started a few months ago, ever since I played that horrible game. It was a fresh Saturday afternoon. I was still dressed in my pajamas while happily browsing the internet for hilariously random Sonic the Hedgehog animations, and after about 2 hours of browsing, a pop-up entered the screen. It was really flashy and colorful, so I couldn't keep my eyes away. Before closing the pop-up, I saw the words fan character in game. Then I forced my hand to stop so I could continue reading. Hey you! Yeah you! Guess what? Your Sonic fan character can now be in their very own online game. Now filled with the feeling of pure joy, I decided to click on the more information button. Just then my browser opened up a new tab with an unusual sight. The background color was plain, pitch black, and there was a red box at the top of the page. Small white text inside the red box asked me for my email address. I typed it in and hit next. Then I was asked to send an image of my character and type up their personality and backstory, and after typing eagerly for approximately 2 hours, I hit submit. The box then said I'd be receiving an email in about 2 to 3 weeks with the link to the game. After a long, tedious wait, I finally received the email with the game. A spark of excitement panged against my lungs as I clicked on the link. There it was, Crystal the Hedgehog in her very own game. The title screen had impeccable animation, and the artwork was adorable. However, as soon as my mouse pointer clicked play, something strange happened. Crystal's eyes widened, a grin stretched across her face, and the screen appeared to shut itself off. That was awkward. Once I turned the screen back on, my eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. The title screen was the same, except the sky was a purplish color, grass was black, and Crystal had gray, dark fur, and blood dripping all over her body. Then the screen rippled and changed to the character selection menu. The only characters available to play at the time were Darkin the Darkhawk, Flames the Hedgehog, and Shadow the Hedgehog. I was surprised. I never sent an image of Darkin or Flames to those people who made the game for me. I selected Darkin, though, who seemed quite confident in the moment. The screen twitched a bit and skipped right to the loading screen of Act blank blank blank. Perhaps there are a few bugs, I thought. When the level began, Darkin was located at a forest similar to the one where Crystal always walks through whenever she feels depressed. Something was obviously going on here, but I decided to try and ignore it. I made Darkin run to the right. There was no enemies or obstacles for about a minute, but there was a very strange background change. The trees appeared to be dead, and the pixelated foliage began to look like bright red flames. What was this? Was this supposed to represent the fire that Crystal's family had died in? Or was this a symbol of a rage embedded deep inside her soul? Either way, the game was already beginning to be a bit freaky. The olive green colored grass began turning a burnt umbrish color, and Darkin suddenly stopped running. No matter how many times I pushed the arrow keys, he wouldn't move. My mouse pointer refused to move either. The computer froze, but the game somehow continued to play by itself. It was the strangest thing. Then I suddenly heard a distorted female-like voice that came from the game. Are you ready to have some fun? You will have 20 seconds to escape the fire. Clock starts now. And just then the computer unfroze itself, leaving me in control of Darkin again. The fire quickly came into the right, and I was forced to run back using the left arrow key. I kept hearing the sounds of faded, malicious chuckles and snickers that were coming from the background. The timer, which was displayed on the top left of the game screen, started counting down at a faster rate than before. Better hurry, time is running out, said the female voice. We wouldn't want our precious Darkin to be buried alive now, would we? The sound of that ticking clock rattled inside my skull. Darkin's facial expression changed. It appeared to be worried and frightened. Come on, run faster, I shouted. Darkin seemed to hear me. His speed increased a bit as the fire continued to scorch and glow, annihilating everything in its path and making its way towards him. The time was down to 8 seconds. I was almost at the exit. However, something happened in the game that made my jaw drop. Another flash fire came from the left and burned poor Darkin to the ground. Unbelievable! Yes, I was seriously leading him into his own death. His screams of pure agony and torment rang through my speakers. Pixelated blood flew all over the screen, and as the screen slowly faded to black, I heard a female-like distorted evil laugh. Aw, that's too bad. Let's try that again. The black screen went to the character selection screen. I took a look at the other two characters that just seemed a bit nervous. I searched for Darkin in the menu, but he was nowhere to be found. When my mouse pointer scrolled over Shadow, I saw his body quiver with anxiety. I thought maybe picking him wasn't the best choice, so I clicked on Flames. The screen twitched yet again and skipped to the loading screen of the next stage, Act 101. This time, the stage took place in an abandoned mansion. Flames appeared to be a bit unsure of himself, but I made him run forward anyways. As he continued to walk, I noticed that the mansion was acting very unusually. Bloody faces kept appearing through the windows, and every time lightning would strike, multiple bloodstains appeared all over the floors and walls. Rusty metallic spikes suddenly started to emerge from the ground, and I was acting all frantic trying to dodge them. Then the screen froze yet again. Here's to round 2, shouted the female voice again. Let's see if you can avoid all the spikes. Bet you can't. You have 30 seconds. The computer unfroze, leaving me with another timer ticking away. Flames began darting forward, twice as fast as before. Spikes appeared to be following him, popping up behind and in front of him. Luckily, I managed to jump over the tall ones. When the timer was left with 5 seconds, I was almost out, until... boom! A huge section of the ceiling crashed down, on top of poor Flames. His blood squirted all over the place, and the evil, distorted laugh came again. Well, it looks like this level really crushed you. And with that, the game was taken back to the character selection menu. The last character available was Shadow, whose facial expression seemed to be full of regret. I clicked on him. He turned his head at me inside. The screen twitched a whole bunch of times, not just once, and went straight to the loading screen again. This time, Shadow was placed in Act 666. The stage took place at a gruesome cave. Blood was dripping everywhere, and there was various craters filled with strange black liquid. The sounds of screams of tortured souls ran through the level, followed by the cracks of whips and whirs of drills. The BGM sounded dark, slow, gloomy, and mysterious. As Shadow marched along, I could tell he was nervous by the occasional grimaces that would stretch across his face. There were many skeletons and unknown characters lying on the ground, hung by a rope and chained along the walls. Each and every one looked totally mangled. The lights that were hung by a weak little string flashed on and off, making the scene even more dramatic. Once I found an old rusty elevator in the level. I was indecisive. Should I go or should I walk away? After about 5 minutes of arguing with myself, I forced my hand and made Shadow enter it. Going down, bellowed the female voice. The elevator then slowly shrieked as it traveled downwards the screen, fading to black. Suddenly, the screen was filled with static and shut itself off again. What the hell was that all about? I turned the screen back on only to reveal a horrifying scene. Darkin, who was nearly burned to death, was chained to the wall. All of his skin was peeled off his body, all his muscles revealed and bloody. Flames, who was crushed by the ceiling, was now just a pile of bones and skin scattered all over the rocky ground. Shadow was also chained against the wall and was trembling in fear. That terrified look on his face almost made me want to cry. Just then, though, Crystal sauntered happily into the scene from the right, her body covered in blood. The grin on her face, along with her wide eyes, horrified me as she hummed a little tune. Well, well, it's nice to see you again, Shadow the Hedgehog. Lightning suddenly flashed, and once the scene was visible, Crystal's fur was yet again dark gray, her teeth were sharp and pointy, and her pupils have turned into a maroon-like color. Her head turned to face me, and I flinched when I saw her wink. It's nice to see you too, Sammy. By this point, I had already been screaming my lungs out. I fell out of my chair and hurriedly crawled over to the kitchen. Perhaps my brain was playing tricks on me from too many hours of playing. I served myself a glass of water, and before I was able to drink, I heard Shadow's shrieks of shouts of pure agony. I darted back to my room while holding the glass of water firmly in my hand, but I managed to spill it anyways. Shadow had been cut in half. All of his entrails were seeping into the gashes Crystal had caused. The creepiest part, Crystal was giggling like an innocent child. Crystal, how could you do this? I shouted. I guess maybe I was going insane. Talking to a sprite that exactly wasn't, something a normal person would do. Crystal turned her head slowly to look directly at my face. What's the matter, Sammy? Can't handle seeing the torture of a male hedgehog? Because that's exactly what you've been doing to me in your role plays. Torture me, make me suffer both mentally and physically. Suddenly, the screen began to flash on and off for about 2 minutes. When the screen turned back to normal, I saw Crystal's face close up. It was horrifying. Her fur seemed touchable. Her teeth and lips were soaking in the blood of her victims, and her eyes that were full of hatred stared at me. Right at me. Why have you caused me to suffer so much, Sammy? Is it because you hate me, Sammy? Was I not good enough for you, Sammy? Was I specifically created to be eternally punished by these stupid men? Sammy? I honestly didn't know how to reply to that. I was too petrified to say or do anything in the moment. Answer me? Answer me now, she screamed. I honestly didn't know why I did, but I'm sorry. Her frown now became a wide grin, wider than any of the grins she had before. Her gums were clearly visible, black as her soul. Oh, you're going to be sorry. After saying that, the static started up again. When the static stopped, though, there were multiple hyper-realistic images shown of the victims' corpses. Their entrails were wrapped around their throats as their blood flowed out the gashes along their eyelids. As soon as my eyes experienced this terror, I began to puke. My eyes were watery now. I was on my knees, clutching my stomach, the aftertaste of vomit burning in my throat. I frantically tried to shut down the computer, but it was futile. It was unresponsive. Crystal just laughed in my face as tears streamed down my rosy cheeks. Silly child, there is nothing you can do to save yourself now. After she said that, I glared back up at her. I was angry. She was my character. I am in control, not her. Oh, we'll see about that, Crystal. I quickly ran up the stairs and grabbed my mother's metal baseball bat. Then I put on my father's racing helmet and dashed back down to my room and began smashing the computer. The screen broke into millions of shattered pieces, and the computer was smashed completely. A sigh of my relief passed through my chapped lips as I heard the calm breeze coming in through the window. I picked up the pieces of the mangled device and threw it in the huge green trash can out in the front yard. Later on, the time read 10:06. I had already been tucked into bed. I was not sleepy at all. Those images continued to pop into my mind. I wasn't sure if I was fully traumatized, but I was indeed terrified. Time passed, and I was still unable to sleep. Everything was starting to make my heart beat faster. The sound of my parents walking around the house, the wind, even my own breathing. Yep, there was definitely something wrong with me. Even more time passed, and my sleepiness was starting to get to me. I just couldn't keep my eyes open. Once I managed to calm down and shut my eyelids, sweet dreams, Sammy. My eyes sprung open, and as I turned my head, Crystal covered my mouth and began attacking me. Luckily, my parents' sensitive hearing heard my whimpers and muffled shrieks. They ran to my room and opened my door as fast as they could. They saw my body bloody and beaten, but Crystal was gone. Sammy, what happened to you? My mother hugged me tightly as I began to cry. My father went to the bathroom and came back with a first aid kit. As he soothed the scratches located all over my arms and chest areas, I tried to explain what happened. I couldn't, though, because my mouth couldn't form the words. I was only stuttering and whimpering. A few weeks later, I came back from a hard day at school. As soon as I entered my room, I found another action figure in my collection that I did not recall getting before. I walked up to it, and to my dismay, it was a Crystal the Hedgehog action figure. Now, feeling too horrified to speak, I lifted it up with a trembling hand and pulled a little string on the back of the toy. Let's be friends, best friends, forever, Sammy. And because of that, I now know to never click on a pop-up ever again. 8 hours ago, I had a strange experience, and I'm still recovering. Possibly after this, I'll just live with the homeless. Never have any use of electricity anymore. It was Xbox Live that got me, my favorite pastime activity. It all started with a friend request. I got home from work late last night, 11:37 p.m. Obviously, my mind was stuck on the thought of Xbox Live. I played it every night for like 4 hours before I went to sleep. As soon as I logged on, I noticed that I had no friends online. But I did have a message. It was a friend request, not from a regular guy, but a man without a gamer tag. It was blank completely. In desperation for not only a friend, but to know why his gamer tag wasn't showing up and what his gamer tag actually was. Behind my weird Xbox glitch, I clicked accept, and sure enough, he was online. There was still no gamer tag, so I messaged him. Hey, your gamer tag not showing up. What is it? I went to play Saints Row the Third, leaving the dashboard, and as soon as I clicked play game, I got an invite from him to play Saints Row the Third co-op campaign. Interesting. He must have saw me play on Xbox Live and added me. I guess since it was just the two of us, it'd be funner. I accepted his game invite and joined his game along with joining a party. I talked into the microphone, so, what's up? No reply as I waited for like a minute. You gonna talk? Still no reply. I then asked him, hey, what's your gamer tag? It's not showing up for some reason. I think my Xbox permanently glitched your name. As I expected, nothing. The game started and I haven't spoke to him since the last line. Well, it was strange. He took a helicopter from his garage, somehow spawning outside. Otherwise, he has a mod to make him incredibly fast, and he took off with it. I had my character run outside after him and jump off the roof. My guy was being invincible because I finished the game. The nameless guy went forward. I watched to see what he'd do, and I was possibly walking forward, not counting going around buildings following him for about an entire 20 minutes when his helicopter finally crashed into a building and his character ejected. As soon as he landed using a parachute, he just stood and stared at me. I shot at him, but he wouldn't die. And I knew he hasn't beaten the game yet. But he was still somehow invincible. "Are you a fucking modder?" I asked. I finally got a reply. "I'll see you around." And a special surprise of an extremely strange laugh. His voice scared me. It was unusual. It sounded like a robot voice underwater. He disconnected, was offline, and I realized he just added me to look at my information to find out where I lived. Right now I'm removing all of my other accounts I have online, changing all the information and locking my door. I realized I made a typo on my Xbox Live address on the day my neighbor was killed. If it weren't for that typo, I would have been killed by a psychopath. The police have suspiciously stopped looking for the murderer in less than a week though, with the stain of blood saying, "We'll find you, Diffie the Killer." Nice gamer tag. And under it, written in blood, "This isn't your house." If you see the man, don't add him, block all communications from him, and change all your profile information, remove all pictures, because he will find you. Alrighty then, so which one was better? crystal.HTML, how dare I compare it to something like that, which was not similar to at all. Or rather, the man without a gamer tag. Mysterious. Okay, all sarcasm aside, let's see which one was better. Well, crystal.html had a nice premise, giving your email address, not exactly a smart idea, but whatever. And then giving your fan character so a game can be made. Seems like the best thing ever, right? Send your fan character so a game can be made. Wrong! Don't do it, or it comes to life and kills you, or something along those lines. It had a great concept, and it just went full Sonic.exe. Literally just replaced Sonic with Crystal, throw in some banter with the player, and you got this. Yeah, the kid didn't die or anything, but you have an action figure at the end you never go into at all, which just baffles me. You have the kid being beaten, which you never really talk about after. And then all you really do is learn is not to click pop-ups. Well, if you got a problem like that, then just fucking block them. Don't give out your personal information. That's stranger danger shit, for God's sakes. Anyways, moving on. It had its moments, but as soon as you went full Sonic.exe mode, you know, and they're quite detailed depictions of blood and gore, you know, entrails and stuff, that just sealed the deal. The kid gets beaten, nothing happens, no inquiry. Action figure shows up, that can't possibly exist, no inquiry. But learning how to use the internet? Fucking priceless. Then we have a man without a gamer tag. So, you know, you learn one thing, don't put your address out publicly. Seriously, the bio section is not meant to be a doc center, okay? It's meant to be your biography or whatever. And adding someone like that with robotic voices and laughs, even though you didn't know it in the first place, which I'll give you that, just tells you not to add people you don't know. Not much to say, as it really had no build-up. You know, guy or girl comes home from work, puts in Saints Row, you played with some glitch, somewhat, I don't know, and honestly, it had a great concept, don't mind you, you know, someone like that, but it didn't build up. It was executed poorly. There was no build up to anything. You know, this person just comes. There was no building up gradually. Days pass. Things get weirder and weirder every time the person do corruption, all that kind of stuff. No, nothing. The person just gets the address because you put it out publicly, and then they almost die. Well, lucky for Diffie or Defy the Killer, they made a typo and lived. So all we've learned is that if you don't give out your information, you're good. And if you spell things wrong, it could save your life. Lessons to be learned, ladies and gentlemen. Lessons to be learned. In the end, I think I'd go with crystal.html for having a better concept and holding up longer for me. What do you think? Which one is better? And what can you do to make, you know, what can you change, rather, to make these better? Let me know in the comments below. This has been another episode of Shitpastas. And if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. By the way, if you guys are wondering what game is on the screen, it is Sonic 06, generally believed to be one of the best Sonic games ever. I'm actually really enjoying it. Brilliant controls, amazing camera work. Definitely pick this title up. You know, you have to experience the brilliance of Sonic 06. I'm playing it on the Xbox 360. Looks great, plays great. Really nothing wrong with it. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say. So if you're wondering what game I'm playing on the screen, I'll put it on. I'll key it in the beginning, put it in the description, and I'll even mention it at the end of the video. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.